In fact, this was even demonstrated by Darwin's finches. You may have heard about Darwin's finches. He went down to the Galapagos Islands and he noticed that finches had different beak depths. Some had, depending on the environment, the proportion of large beak finches changed relative to the shorter beak finches. And you know what he found out was the reason? The weather. Because in a dry year, you needed, if you were a finch, to have a bigger beak. Why? Because you had to go deeper to get seeds. So the shorter beak finches couldn't get the seeds and they would die off. But when the weather got wet again, then the beak of the finch could be a little bit shorter and the finch could still survive. Notice there's no direction to this particular change in the beak, in the depth of the beak finch. It wasn't like the finches kept getting bigger and bigger beaks until they were pelicans, right? It varied with the weather. There's no direction here. It just varies with the weather. And notice, what does this not tell us? It doesn't tell us where finches came from, does it? It just says that the proportion of one type of finch, particularly when it comes to big beaks, changed relative to the smaller beak finches. It doesn't tell us where finches came from to begin with. That's the whole question, isn't it? So it's been put this way, that you start with finches and you end with finches, but the origin of finches is never explained. You may have heard that natural selection can help explain the survival of a species, but natural selection can't tell you the arrival of the species. It can't tell you how it got here. It can only tell you, well, the weather changes, okay, you're going to get a different proportion of large beak to small beak finches. But where did finches come from? That's the real question. Natural selection doesn't tell us that. It just says that when the weather changes, you're going to have more long beak or more short beak finches dependent upon the weather. Whoop-de-doo. What's that telling us? Not much. Now you can see Darwin took this idea and just after him, it got extrapolated. Wow. Maybe there's no boundaries to this kind of adaptation. So what we are saying is, yes, we believe in microevolution, but we don't believe in macroevolution.